YouTubers and all those who happen to watch. Hope you're all doing quite well nonetheless. So, alright, side by side here, I have a list for the PS3 as well as the Xbox 360 launch titles for said two consoles here. Now, why? I'll get into that into a moment here, but first I'm going to break down my final thoughts of the launch for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and the Wii U. So, alright. Third place came in Wii U, as it's a given. You know, Nintendo was always and always will be at this point third place unless they could pull something out of their trick hat. Then you have the PS4 technically because of the fact of the lackluster launch titles, that they were promising these great, robust consoles that were supposed to be really good, but just ended up being kind of things. So then we have the Xbox One. Now, the Xbox One had its similar problems at launch as well, such as having a disc tray that of course eats your discs, or your compact discs, eating your Blu-ray discs, eating discs in general. It's hungry, it's starving, it's eating your chips like a disc, and discs like a chip. Are you with me so far? Alright. So next they had an infinite update loop. Now, of course, we all saw this problem a mile away, right? Absolutely. So then the PlayStation 4 has the blue light of death. It's a given. It happened. Oh well, we'll cry later. The Wii U, similar problems. So all three consoles at launch had problems. Now let's date back to the Xbox 360. Let's date back to the PlayStation 3, and let's date back to the Wii. Again, somewhat similar issues. Yellow light, red light, or the three blinking lights of death, and the Wii U had some issues where it could not read discs. This is very scarce though. So out of all of them, Nintendo actually had a lot less issues because of the older hardware that was easier to off-the-shelf kind of thing here. So then now we look at the Xbox One having off-the-shelf components. Now, it's having these issues, as you guys seen from the Australian side as well as the United States and everywhere else, is having these issues where they have to contact support. Support's down to go fuck themselves, and that's pretty much the end of that one. But anyway, out of the entire list of Xbox One games, you have 2 or 3 that are only going to be interesting to anyone in any whatsoever. That, of course, is being Titanfall, and that's, of course, being Dead Rising 3. These are the 2 titles that most people are interested in on the console. I mean, next to Call of Duty, because that's a given. Everyone and their mothers is droned to this game now. You know, it's just how it is. So, alright. With that said, let's look at the analysis when it comes to games here. It's usually a similar bundle between the both consoles because they're trying to compete. This, of course, is being the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Now, the reason why I'm going back to this, I'm going to explain this in a moment, and the aftermath of everything between these consoles games. So, let's start with the PlayStation 3, right? Mostly had 07 games. These, of course, relating to NBA 07, 2K7, Need for Speed Carbon, NFL 2K7, Resistance Fall of Man, which is considered by many a decent but mediocre game, Ridge Racer 7, which was alright to me, Tony Hawk's Project 8, Untold Legend Dark Kingdom is a very niche kind of game where people like it, at the same time it's not really well received. Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire, which is actually, it's like one of those obscure games that people just don't care about, and some people just appreciate it because of the name Mobile Suit Gundam. So then you have Marvel Ultimate Alliance, that's a cross-platform game just like the NBA games and everything else, so that's of course irrelevant, I suppose. Genkai Days of the Blade, which did not sell the console too many copies, it just was just there for the fuck of it, I suppose. And you have Call of Duty 3, which is an alright game. Now let's, of course, backpedal to the Xbox 360 and see what they had for games. Amp 3 didn't sell too much, it was alright, I suppose. Call of Duty 2, you get the point. Condemned Criminal Origins, that one was actually pretty good. Again, very niche kind of game though for most people's standards. Every Party, which was only released in Japan. FIFA 06 sold pretty much a lot of copies anyway. That's one of those type of titles that does sell very much. Gun, which, you know, again, no one really. It was a very, very niche game. I mean, people played it, but it was very niche. Cameo, Elements of Power, which is actually pretty good as a platformer, but again, very niche. No one really paid attention to that one too much. The Madden games, NFL games, these are all 2K6 and 06, mind you. Need for Speed Most Wanted, which was popular. Perfect Dark Zero, we all get the point there with that one. Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is actually pretty good, but again, very niche. Gothic Project Racing 3, again, sort of fell in that category where people played it just for the console or whatever else. And Quake 4, which again, very niche, not too many people even played that one, at least not too much. Ridge Racer 6, which I thought was kind of funny there. A Japanese-only game called Tetris Grandmaster Ace. Tiger Woods 06, and Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Now, of course, these game consoles had 2 years apart, or at least a year and a half apart from each other when it came to being launched, at least in certain countries. Now, it was a year apart difference for the United States, obviously, but for other countries, about a year and a half difference, such as Singapore and North Korea. So, what's the point here? What am I trying to get at here? Why the hell did I even read off a bunch of random-ass names, blah, blah, blah? Well, these are obviously off of Wikipedia, but at the same time, it's a point proven here. The Xbox 360 did have a bunch of good, solid games there. I mean, more solidly so than, of course, the PlayStation 3 at first. But what happened after a while? Games such as Demon Souls came out. It was very popular. It sold a couple consoles. They had games slowly developing for the PlayStation 3, which were a lot better ports, etc., etc., etc. So the Xbox 360 has a solid fan base for certain games coming out, as they were, of course, third-party. So people preferred it just playing on the Xbox 360 because it became more cheaper, more affordable to play than the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 had a bigger price tag, at least a lot more so than all over the world and the United States alone, which is a pretty hefty price tag. But then it dropped down, became more affordable. People started getting into the PlayStation 3 and started going to the library and going, hey, this is an alright console after all. Same thing with the Xbox 360. After a while, people just started buying them, and before we all knew it, everyone casual and everyone else who was hardcore had this console sitting in their living room just collecting dust, next to the Wii, of course. So, what happened, right, is over time, both consoles became settled. They became foundationized, and they were just pretty much essential. People either own this, or either own that, or own both, and appreciated both of them. Which I'm not going to doubt the Xbox 360 nor the PlayStation 3 of having any bad elements to them after a while. After those iron-outs came out, became great consoles. Very dependable. It was fun to use them. Besides me having a couple red rings of death, which some people say, oh, because you had an enclosed area, when in factuality I had it at an open area full of clean and crisp, cold air. But anyway, I digress. Off-the-shelf components, anyone? I think so. And let's look at the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4's future. Both have issues right now, but as everyone will commonly tell you, they will pan out. They will smooth out. They will become very, very, very ironed out. Because they have to. This is very important, especially in this time in their lives. People are starting to mellow out from console gaming slightly, but not quite. Yeah, people are starting to push towards PC gaming, but not quite. It's sort of that thing, that edge of, teeter-tottering, where it's sort of how the Atari felt for a while, or at least the Atari company felt for a while, where it's a do-or-die situation here. The Nintendo, or the Wii U, started to pump out 2 titles now, which is today of this recording. That, of course, is being a Link Between Worlds, which I want that one desperately, like a blowjob, and 3D World, or Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. Which looks really good, actually. I'm really impressed with what I've seen for visuals and gameplay, and it looks pretty fun. I'm just obviously not going to go buy a fucking Wii U just for that game, though. It's on the list, though, of games that potentially I want to buy when I do get a Wii U. If I ever can get a Wii U. So, there you have it. I mean, you have, out of this entire day, I think Nintendo scored pretty well. They have 2 games sold. And the Xbox One, while it does have some issues, some people are saying it's a pretty good game. At least the sales on the receipts say so. Until these flippers, who of course are those sales receipts, flip them on eBay for a lot more than they're actually worth, when in factuality, there's couple stores around these people who are just lazy to get these consoles from those other stores to pay the same price as the retail price, but instead go to the eBay and go, alright, I'm going to pay $700 for this fucker, and there you go. But anyway, what do you guys think of the Xbox One launch? Were you guys impressed with the console when it came out, or do you not give a fuck because you're playing a PlayStation 4? Or are you a part of the PC master race who look down at everybody except for the Battlefield 4 players? Quite frankly, you're jealous of those Battlefield 4 players at the moment. But anyway, I digress.